What matters is what we have on the inside. Hello?
Today we're going to be looking at the complete 26th season of South Park, where in this video we shall be diving into all 6 episodes of the show and looking at the DVD set release in closer detail. And I'm very excited to have these episodes in the collection. This DVD set came out at the same time as the Streaming Wars collection, which were the 2 special event TV movies done for Paramount Plus, so I'll do a separate video covering those on the channel at a later date. But with season 26, despite this being only 6 episodes long, I feel as though each one really has made a lasting impression for good or bad. And I like seeing the show experiment with the formula still, such as changing the writing style to an AI format or using characters that in my eyes deserve more attention on the series, such as Kenny. And for the first time ever, we have Kenny McCormick featuring there on the front cover without the hood. That's definitely something I did not expect, but I'm glad to see that feature on the artwork. Anyway, there's a closer look at the front cover design. There's the spine, the complete 26th season. And on the back cover we have the Dick and Bowers restaurant. Nothing funny about that name, that's for sure.
We got him to say Dick and Bowers!
A brief summary of the season, and the season itself is given a 15 certificate here in the UK for strong language, crude humour, sex references, and racism. And your total runtime, you're looking there 129 minutes approximately. Removing the slipcover, we have the same artwork as before, nothing new beneath. I should also mention, once again, sadly there are no bonus features included on this DVD set, which is incredibly disappointing. It would be incentive enough for even the most casual South Park fan to go ahead and pick up the DVD or Blu-ray if there were mini commentaries included just as before, but it looks as though that is not going to be returning, which is really disappointing. I guess we should just be grateful that we are getting physical releases of South Park at this point in time, which it is what it is as far as that goes. Maybe someday something will change, but until then we just have a bare bones release of just the episodes. But there's the inside artwork, beautifully done as always. There's Prince Harry and Meghan Markle hiding there, which is quite amusing, and the DVD disc there featuring artwork of Cupid Yee. And speaking of which, let's begin with the first episode and go through these in chronological order. An unexpected return for Cartman's imaginary friend Cupid Me, now referred to as Cupid Yee. Stan becomes jealous that Kyle and Tolkien are making TikTok videos together, and when Cartman sees this, he insists on destroying the friendship so Stan can have Kyle back. How does he approach this? Well, in a typical Cartman fashion, he starts spreading rumors about how the Jews run Hollywood, specifically Kyle, igniting a spree of anti-Semitism and general racism through the Cupid Yee character. Of course, this is actually Cartman doing all of this, but I like how the episode blurs the lines of the imagination and what is real, and Cupid Yee, Kanye. This is of course a reference to Kanye West, with various news outlets calling him out at the beginning of this year for being racist, which he said some pretty crazy stuff looking back.
Every human being has something of value that they brought to the table, especially Hitler.
I also loved the end credits for this episode, further leaning into how Jewish people have supposedly taken over Hollywood. Co-creator Matt Stone is an atheist, but he comes from a Jewish background, and so he is given sole credit for this episode, with Trey Parker listed as his assistant, which really made me laugh. Overall, this was a very strong start for the season. Next up we have the Worldwide Privacy Tour, which is easily the best episode this season, and one of the funniest pieces of satire I have ever seen from South Park. If you're anything like me, I choose to avoid sort of celebrity gossip kind of news, but the stuff relating to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle was just so overbearing. Despite wanting to become normal and ordinary people, their approach and behaviour was completely backwards. And this episode revisits the Canadian monarchy parodying the UK, as we saw back in season 15, where Ike is devastated over the Queen's death, and this is where we see Prince Harry and Meghan Markle make a statement about leaving the royal family, but they want to make their decision known to everybody, as though people actually give a shit to begin with.
Hey, can you two fucking keep it down?
You ever heard of a thing called privacy?
One gag that really got me was renaming Harry's book titled Spare to just Where, as in a baby crying, which I guess is one way to interpret the book, and trying to find some form of private life away from prying eyes. The couple moved to South Park and continue to be annoying. And I really liked how the B plot merged into this, where Kyle felt insecure about his personality, and following shallow attempts at rebranding himself, I guess this is somewhat relatable. Next up we have Japanese Toilet, which I wasn't really a big fan of this episode at first, but on rewatch I enjoyed it a lot more. The storyline is pretty straightforward. The Marsh family needs a new toilet. Randy overspends on a luxury Japanese toilet. He brags to the entire town about how the Marsh family is rich, which isn't exactly true. Stan gets picked on at school for being rich, only to uncover a massive conspiracy about toilet paper companies, and if the Japanese toilets were made for everyday usage, there would be no need for toilet paper, and I found the foreshadowing hilarious at the beginning of the episode where Randy compares himself to JFK, only to get shot by the end, and breaking the fourth wall, Randy backtracks everything he said in favor of Japanese toilets and apologizes to the toilet paper industry. Definitely an episode I'm glad that I rewatched and was able to appreciate a lot more on rewatching. Deep Learning is another favorite episode of mine from this season, where the writing formula becomes deliberately more experimental, and Trey Parker wasn't the only writer for this episode. He actually co-wrote this with ChatGPT, which even receives a mention on the end credits. And with the sudden rise in AI-based apps and their focus on writing, some of the students at South Park Elementary use this to cheat their way through class, and already this is a moral dilemma, but Clyde and Stan take this further by using ChatGPT to string along their girlfriends. Stan uses the app with Wendy to try and keep their relationship going as far as communication goes, and even though this is done under false pretenses, there's a lot of ethical debates surrounding AI apps, and the show successfully highlights how people rely way too much on technology. And I wish we could have gotten some behind the scenes material for this episode in particular, which could have been fun seeing Trey mash together his own script with AI generated content, but alas, you know how I feel about the lack of bonus features on this DVD set. Dick and Bo's Hot Dogs features a lot of really fun usage with certain characters throughout this episode. Butters gets a job at an ice cream shop and Cartman does the exact same thing, but as expected, he is a terrible employee. He then has a genius idea for a startup company using the hot dog restaurant he lives in, and exploiting money from Butters, Cartman and Kenny open their own restaurant. It's interesting to see the show explore the American work ethic, and I guess just general work ethics overall, and how things have really significantly changed for better or worse post-COVID. And I really appreciate this episode commentating on that sort of thing. I also love seeing Kenny being included as part of the plotline, and this is another one of those really rare occasions where we actually get to see Kenny's face, which was very unexpected. And using this episode, I liked how the gag of Cartman and his mother living in a hot dog was retired sooner rather than later, where this episode is essentially just a reset trope to reset that plotline and move Cartman and his mum back into the original house that they have stayed in throughout the duration of the series. Sadly, we end the season on a real stinker of an episode, and that is Spring Break. I wasn't a fan of this one at all. Teasing the return of President Trump / Mr. Garrison, Garrison experiences an identity crisis, and when on vacation, he lies to his new partner Rick about leaving the past behind and is instead seen rallying for presidential support for the upcoming 2024 election. And with how much President Garrison content we experienced in the previous seasons, I was certain that side of the character would remain dead. Fingers crossed we can just leave the past alone, but something tells me we haven't seen the last of this. And it's a shame, because I'm sure the creators could easily come up with something fresh for the presidential related stuff upcoming in 2024, but this episode really just drags the season down, which is a huge disappointment because there's been some really great content to appreciate from this run. It's a shame to end on a bitter note, but there's still plenty more South Park content coming soon, and I'll be sure to cover all of it on the channel. That's going to do it for this review looking at the complete 26th season of South Park. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to leave me a like down below. Let me know in the comments what did you think of this season, what was your favourite episode. As ever, I love hearing your thoughts and opinions, and for more content, be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, DVD Review Studios.
Are you threatening me?